Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle, the wrestling podcast here on YouTube in video variation, and now on audio variation here on SoundCloud as it goes with everything. I have officially started everything on SoundCloud, and we are attempting with audio variation towards the actual podcast versus just having the audience be over here on the YouTube channel itself. And this episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle is going to focus around WWE Smackdown Live for August 1st, 2017. And, not gonna fully lie about this one. This is kind of one of those Smackdowns that reminded you a lot of where Smackdown was over the last year in the terms of its quality and its ability to produce a good show. And you got that in this particular episode of SmackDown. And lo and behold, they started off a wrestling show with a wrestling match. I know, novel concept on that one, WWE. Novel concept. But, they started off with AJ Styles going up against Kevin Owens. I actually like this aspect. You have the two big main events of the show. You might as well start off the show with one of them, especially with the factor of it only being a 2-hour show. You would have one then end in, like, the first, instead of having it be the first hour and then have the next one for the next, at the end of the show. They started off big right off the bat with Kevin Owens and AJ Styles, which was a good match, but again, screwy finish to the match. They have the referee get blinded by Kevin Owens. The referee completely ducks out of the way, and Kevin Owens had to swing his punch an extra way around to try to hit the ref. And he goes down and gets blinded from this and does not see Kevin Owens get his shoulder up upon the roll up that AJ Styles had performed just a few moments earlier. So again, Kevin Owens, obviously irate, goes backstage, starts berating the ref as Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan are trying to check on the ref and everything because he had gotten blinded. He starts berating him, shoves him. Shane and Daniel get in the way of everything, and it's Shane basically says, you deserve your rematch. We understand he made a bad call. It happens. You're going to get a rematch at SummerSlam, so we're going to get one more AJ Styles and Kevin Owens match. Hopefully not with a screwy finish again, because that's pretty much been every single one of these matches so far. They've ended in some kind of screwy type of finish in some way, shape, or form to have the match end, which, again, a lot of these matches have been pretty good. They've just had that weird, awkward finish, and hopefully that's what we're going to get here. Kevin Owens goes off and says, instead of having just a normal ref, I want a ref that has two good eyes, can see that my shoulder's up, everything in that sense. Daniel Bryan's like, I've got the perfect referee. Shane. Okay, well, that's how Shane's going to be involved in this one. So Shane's going to be the referee in the match for this one. And, interestingly enough, it is not a bad way of going, considering the fact that Shane obviously, if you go back in his full history, he was a ref at the beginning of his WWE time. But also, it does avoid him having to have yet another match with a top-name talent in that sense. Because the rumor mill was going that it would be Shane going up against Kevin Owens at the pay-per-view. But it looks like that's not going to be the case. Shane's just going to be the ref for AJ Styles and Kevin Owens. So that should be a good way of going. Up next, you had what was, it sounded like initially, going to be the New Day coming out. So they started their typical bit where they go talk to Cleveland. It almost sounded like the New Day as well. And then all of a sudden it says, stand up for your busted up champs and feel the power. And then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, it kind of changed. And all of a sudden the Usos come out and they cut a promo on the New Day. This was fantastic stuff. I loved what they did here. They do the whole bit where at the end they steal the catchphrase of New Day rocks, and it says Usos rocks. And just good stuff. I've been enjoying the Usos in the terms of their heel promo. They cut a very good heel promo here on the New Day. Funny to a certain extent as well, and it just came off really good. So up next was the Fashion Files, aka Fashion Peaks in this case. I've never watched Twin Peaks back in the day because that's where a lot of these stuff with the Fashion Police have been or with Fandango and Tyler Breeze, Fashion Police, and the Fashion Files have been kind of going. They've been taking from other like cop shows, everything in that sense. And this one was from Twin Peaks. So I had never seen it before, so I had no idea what was about to happen. In that sense of everything. You go into a bit where like they're in the office and you have Tyler Breeze talking into a recorder. It's like, why didn't I just call this person instead of recording this? Because I can't get this to them in a timely manner. And then all of a sudden he looks across, and all of a sudden you see like this you see Fandango, because he's on the search for Fandango and who took him. And you see Fandango doing like this disembodied type voice and like subtle backwards talking and metaphors, and you have and then they cut back to Tyler Breeze and they cut back to Fandango, and the Ascension are there just doing like weird stuff. Like I don't know what Victor was doing, but Connor had like this log in maple syrup, and it was like all metaphors for something to go along with it. This was good. Like, this makes me actually want to go watch Twin Peaks and see what they were doing. It ends up being a dream, and Tyler Breeze talks back into the recorder again and basically says he knows who took Fandango, and they continue on. So we still don't have resolution to everything here, but this was this was redemption for what they did at Battleground in the terms of everything. I thought this was really good, and it came off, it was really good. So it'll be interesting to see where they continue on with this, and who ends up being the team that took Fandango, attacked Tyler Breeze and Fandango, trashed the office, everything in that sense. I'm kind of thinking, like, with the factor of them doing crazy things like this, that they are leading more towards it being sanity. I don't know where they're going to go with this one, but this was good stuff, and I thought, yeah, this was rather enjoyable and a good comedy to go along with it. So up next was Sami Zayn going up against Aiden English, and this was a really quick match. It was one of those like quick back and forth matches where they played off with Aiden English just catching Sami Zayn with a roll up out of nowhere. Like Sami Zayn in complete bewilderment and everything in that sense. You had Aiden English sing a song before the match. And everything, and you have Sami Zayn again, like in complete bewilderment of what Aiden English is doing and everything in that sense. So you're having like Sami Zayn, I guess, playing this serious type person, but he's going up against these like crazy things, such as Mike Kanellis with the Power of Love. And now Aiden English was singing and everything in that sense before the match, and he gets caught with a roll up. And after the match, and this leads me to believe that they're continuing on this thing with Sami Zayn and Mike Kanellis, Mike and Maria Kanellis here, to the aspect of them coming out, and they only have one simple line, and they had like a simple line throughout the entire night. That's all they ended up doing. Is like they say, Maria basically says, "We love each other, and we love the fact that you lost this match," and everything to go along with it. The terms of the match being so quick, it kind of makes up for where they were going with it in the end, and it kind of it makes you think that, okay, maybe they haven't soured on this whole Maria and Mike thing so far, because that's what you kind of took from last week, where, you know, Mike Kanellis lost at the pay-per-view and then lost again at Smackdown, but maybe they haven't fully soured on this one yet. So up next was a tag team match with Natalya and Carmela going up against Becky Lynch and Naomi. Decent enough match. A lot of the story of this match was that Naomi was stuck in both of the submission holds, and she finds her way out and ends up picking up the victory. So she was caught in the sharpshooter for a good extended period of time, and then Carmela tried to get in and put the code of silence on her, but she reversed it into her submission maneuver, and Becky Lynch kind of stopped Natalya from doing from breaking up the hold, and Carmela taps out, which is actually leading to a match with Carmela and Naomi next week. Like I said, the match itself is pretty decent for the most part. It did what it needed to do, and then, like I said, it kind of told a story of what was going of like not Becky Lynch, but Naomi's resiliency to the submission holds that she was getting put into as well. So yeah, like I said, decent enough match here. Up next was a Jinder Mahal interview. Basically, Jinder Mahal talking about the Cena Nakamura match for later in the night and who would he rather face and everything in that sense. He gives off the typical, I don't care who I face, I'm going to win at SummerSlam and everything in that sense. And he said, I'm going to go up to my private skybox now and watch this match to see who I am going to be facing at SummerSlam. Decent enough interview, decent enough promo. But then again, I may be in the minority on this one. I am not hating this stuff with Jinder Mahal. I'm actually kind of liking it. He's playing off as a heel pretty well. Though at times, obviously, he's been very basic in the terms of his promos, but his intensity in his promos have always been really good, and you could tell his promo skills definitely. It's definitely improved in the terms of his intensity and coming off as a little bit more believable as kind of a guy who started off as being, when he was starting to go into the main event scene, as just your basic, I hate America, you guys don't believe in me, blah, 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 all this stuff, to kind of just a bitter man. And that's all he is. He's bitter that no one thinks he's, this legit champion, everything in that sense, and that's the feeling that I get off of this one. And like I said, it came off pretty good. Up next was Rusev against Chad Gable, and you know what? We had a good match at the beginning of the show here, and you expected John Cena and Shinsuke Nakamura to be good, but then they throw this Rusev Chad Gable match in there. And man, this was a really good match. Gable with a very good showing, like doing belly-to-belly suplexes to Rusev, everything in that sense. He got to show off some power and good showing from Chad Gable, but Rusev goes over in the end with the accolade and picks up the victory. Good showing both sides here. I thought this was good stuff. And like I said, if they continue doing stuff like this with Chad Gable and let him eventually have some promo time and everything in that sense, I think there's a good chance that you could have both of these guys in from American Alpha. When they brought them up, they didn't really do much of anything with them. Now you have a potential of having two single stars out of this one, and I think that would be a really good way of going on that sense, especially if Jason Jordan's promo skills, like I have a good feeling that he's going to be fine in the terms of the in-ring work. His in-ring intensity is good and everything in that sense. If he picks up on those promo skills a little bit more, where Chad Gable kind of already has those skills in the terms of promo, but also really good in the ring to go along with it, I think you have a chance of having two really good stars in the terms of where they're going with this. And I'm kind of glad they're both kind of getting some focus and everything on this one. So Rusev, after the match, he basically cuts a promo saying, it's like, no one can actually beat me in a one-on-one real match, like with pinfall, submission, and everything in that sense. He makes even references like, yeah, Cena got to wave his flag at the pay-per-view, but he didn't actually beat me. Type thing in the terms of like a 1-2-3 or submission. So he basically calls out saying he wants competition for SummerSlam, he wants an opponent, and lo and behold, who comes out but Randy Orton? Well, at least we know Randy Orton's not going to face the Great Khali at the pay-per-view itself. So we know that's out of there, and actually we'll probably get a pretty good match on this one. So Rusev does this thing where he kind of stops Randy Orton from getting in the ring, doesn't want to because maybe he thinks Orton's out there to just attack him or something like that. But Orton eventually picks up the mic, he gets in the ring, cuts a promo saying, it's like, I'll be your guy, I'll be your opponent. You've never beaten me in the ring. In which I don't think those two have really had a match, because most of the time they've been kind of separate. I don't remember a one-on-one match with these guys off the top of my head in the terms of TV side. So Rusev mocks Orton in the end, accepts the match, and then gets hit with an RKO. Actually, good stuff. I liked everything they did here. And like I said, it's preventing Randy Orton from being in this feud with the great Khali or anything in that sense. And I guess Khali is going to essentially be a one-off for that Battleground pay-per-view. Which, you know, I think in the end, like in the terms of his actual health, it's probably for the better, because I don't like, you know, they had always said he had knee problems, everything in that sense, while he was in the WWE. So him doing just that one-off, I think is probably for the best in the terms of his health, everything in that sense. And we are going to probably get a pretty good match with Rusev and Randy Orton out of this one. So this brings us to the main event of the night, which is John Cena going up against Shinsuke Nakamura, as I have a leaf blower going in the background. I don't know if you hear that or not in any way. And this, again, good match. The only real, well, two downsides in the end. One was kind of not foreseen. The other one was that this match kind of started with, I think, about maybe 16, 17 minutes left in the show. SmackDown doesn't usually do an over like Monday Night Raw does. So you knew you were going to get kind of a condensed match. And in terms of a TV match, this was really good. This was a really good TV match. They obviously didn't fully go to their pay-per-view levels on this one. In this match, and honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing them do that at some point in time. But really good TV match here with Shinsuke Nakamura and John Cena. That bump, though, that bump at the end when Shinsuke goes over in the end, and I think a lot of people were kind of expecting Cena to go over in this one, especially after them announcing AJ Styles going up against Kevin Owens, because a lot of people are thinking it's like, well, if Cena's not going to go up against Jinder Mahal, he's going to probably just go up against AJ Styles, and they have this perfect out for this one with AJ Styles and Kevin Owens potentially blowing it off on TV to go along with it. But they have Shinsuke Nakamura go over with the Kinshasa in the end. Completely clean, no interference, no nothing. But that bump, when they were going to do the exploder suplex, either Nakamura didn't give a full his full effort for rotation, or Cena missed rotating himself to do the exploder suplex, and Cena landed like literally on the back of his neck, and it looked scary. It looked extremely scary. It's one of those things of, you know, Cena takes this bump, and it's those bumps that you don't expect that look the scariest in the end, because it's like, ooh, that just did not look good. It looked extremely scary. They do, and you even see after the match, Shinsuke, and you even have a thing with Cena as well. Shinsuke says, "I'm sorry," to Cena after they both get up, and it looks like Cena's fine, everything in that sense. He says he's sorry, and you have. And they were going to play up the sportsmanship angle anyway, where Cena shakes his hand, raises his hand. But you also see Cena, and you see it in the camera, says, "Don't be sorry," on that one. So you kind of got them kind of making up to go along with it. They did the bow, everything to go along with it. And was a really good TV match. And like I said, just really scary bump on that one with the exploder suplex to go along with it. But yeah, overall, really good show this week from SmackDown. Like I said, they brought themselves back to that quality of SmackDown that we've been seeing for the most part over the last year, where they've been like a couple months where it's like, oh, it's just been okay, or it's not been all that good to go along with it. So they kind of they brought themselves back up to that level that you kind of expected from SmackDown this week. And it, like I said, just came off as a really good show and everything to go along with it. So, yeah, that's pretty much everything I've got for SmackDown this week. And that's going to pretty much bring an end to this episode of GodSaw's Turnbuckle. In the terms of programming notes, I'm filming this on a Wednesday morning right now, late Wednesday morning, so this is going to probably go up here relatively soon afterwards. So NXT is going to be NXT airs tonight on Wednesday, and it may be exactly the same thing as before, where I either wait for the next day to upload it, or record it and upload it, or I may get it done tonight. You know, NXT is only an hour-long show, so it kind of does it kind of is conducive to being a little bit more friendly in terms of getting things out rather quickly. So I may get it done tonight, and we may have another episode come out on Wednesday night here. So with that being said, guys, I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.